You know, ultimately, this is a very hard show to do. This is going to be one of the hardest shows to do. For those who don't know, earlier this week, Jonathan Boose, who was for a long time the longest tenured host here on WLTH, passed away. I believe it was Monday morning. I got the call from Natalie, who told me that he had passed away, and it's such an unfortunate incident. We're supposed to have Kwabena Rasul call in, and Jonathan's brother Emmanuel was supposed to call in or come in. So we will get to that. The first hour of this show will be dedicated to remembering my mentor here at the station. You know, he's the reason I'm here talking to you right now. Him and my mother were very good friends for many years. Many years. I think 30. I want to say 30. 35. Here comes Emmanuel right now. Yes. Here comes Emmanuel right now. Come on in. Yeah, I'm waving him in right now. He's going to sit here there and how you doing, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm Scott. Yes. You could sit in one of the chairs over there.
Which one would Jonathan sit in? The middle?
What middle? Yeah. You already know. You already know. Yes, but I was just telling the audience that your brother actually is the person who brought me here to WLTH. He was my mentor here because he's friends with my mother, Cassandra Cannon, for many years. Okay. He helped us out with the United Urban Network. When we were just getting started, he was one of the very first people, along with Lloyd Fisher and a lot of other people.
Oh, wow, yeah, Lloyd. Yeah.
Yes, I started here with Jonathan and Lloyd.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
That's who I started here with. It was really because my mother used to always go on and on about her son who was into politics and would keep going on. And so Jonathan said, bring him in.
Yes, that's him.
And so I just showed up one day in 2016, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm glad to see that Jonathan legacy lives on through gentlemen like yourself.
Thank you.
And just to see that the fruit of my brother's labor. Yeah.
Well,
you know, I usually, you know, I just want to tell everyone this. Everyone was surprised to see that I had on a dashiki today because I don't wear this stuff, and I would tease Jonathan about it. And so I know he's looking down, smiling, and the only person that could get me to do this would be Jonathan, my younger brother. Only by a year, though. Only by a year.
Right.
And, you know, yeah, and what I wanted to talk about is that real quick, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to tell you what shaped Jonathan and made him the man that he is. Because, see, Jonathan, we were raised in Church of God in Christ, and he would tell you he was cultic. So we believe that absence from the body is present with the Lord. Mm-hmm. So he's present with the Lord. But, you know, the funny part about it is that Jonathan is probably up there trying to see what office he run for. And it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm like, he probably
working the levers.
Yeah, well, he is. He up there. And then, you know, he might be up there telling the Lord, don't let that person win the election. But, you know, he would just, but, you know, I'm going to tell you what shaped him. So Jonathan was born October the 6th, 1974. I was born April of 74. And me and my brother shared the same bedroom. And to give you a little background of, you know, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. So both of our grandfathers, you have to talk about them. Raymond Joyner, right? Mm-hmm. Raymond Joyner, steel worker, union guy, strong supporter of Richard Gordon Hatchett, was in Arkansas. And I'm going to tell you what made him the person he is. So let's go look at Raymond Joyner. Me and my brother was just talking about this. The men that affected our lives. So my grandfather was down in Arkansas. He had a couple of brothers. And the Ku Klux Klan was chasing their sister through a field. And she's like 12 years old. They're in their 20s. And my grandfather and his brothers grabbed a sickle and cut the Klansman's head off and buried him in the field.
Whoa.
Yeah. So and Jonathan was telling me that a lot of people don't tell too many of those stories about the men that stood up against injustice that way. So my grandfather retired in '84. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit more story about this. So my grandfather's going over the site, going all over the South. Him and his brother, the Joyner brothers, getting into it with the Ku Klux Klan, shootouts and all this. So they're looking for him, and guess what he does? Raymond Joyner. In World War II, he ends up joining the military in World War II and becoming a military policeman. And so from there, he came up when he got out of the after the war. He came and became a steel worker. But he was one of the guys that he raised us. So it was like one of those things is that we believe as men we have two things we're supposed to do: provide and protect, right? And that's how we was raised. And so coming from that type of DNA, and then on my father's side, Reverend Willie Earl Boose, long lines of preachers. I'm a minister of the gospel myself. Long line of preachers. He in the South was against integration. He figured, hey, you don't want us to eat at your restaurant. We have our own restaurant. You don't want it. So they believed in that. So that type of self-reliance.
Right.
And so that's who shaped my father, and the other one shaped my mother. And so this is why Jonathan was the way that he was because it was a long line of standing up against injustice. He was going right or wrong. And, after our mother passed, we talked about our own mortality. And I was telling John, I said, man, well, that sounds kind of dangerous. I said, you get out of here a lot quicker. And he said, hey, man, you're a Christian, right? I was like, yeah, absent from the body, present with the Lord. So that's who made Jonathan who he was. And so when we were growing up, now why he's so political, we weren't really into sports that much as a young age. Harold Washington shaped Jonathan. He was Harold. I mean, he was little, sitting up looking at Harold Washington, looking at people like that, and Fedoliak and all of that, sitting there shaping his political worldview. Jonathan born in 1974. I would leave. What year did Jesse Jackson ran the first time? In 88?
84 and 88.
So think about this. Me and Jonathan was 10 and 11 years old campaigning for Jesse Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was almost like one of those things of is that the environment that we grew up in and the men that shaped us, and when I look back on that, what shaped him and made him who he was, and I don't know if many people knew this, but Jonathan was an avid wrestler in high school.
Yeah, yes.
And also Jonathan wrestled professionally, and Jonathan was what they call in the professional wrestling the wrestling police. And what the wrestling police is we know it's choreographed, but when the guys did not want to give up the belt, Jonathan would go beat them up for real.
Yeah, the shooters. That's what they call them, the shooters.
They were shooting. So, a part of that is just what shaped Jonathan was the men were around, and then we had the strong intercessors around us. My Aunt Josephine, my mom, our aunts, and all of that type of stuff had a strong foundation of the Lord. So that's what really shaped Jonathan and far he was. I brought the shofar because Jonathan was like, always, give me one of those. And he always liked it me to, I'm going to hold this up.
Yes,
he liked it for me to blow this. This is the Yemenite horn from Africa, actually.
Yes.
And they blow this. So I'm going to, before the night's over, I'm going to blow this in memory of Jonathan. And so I remember the last time when my mom went on, Jonathan asked me to come on the show because I was doing shut my national show down to go to Bible school. And I said, I'm not coming back on the air. But Jonathan was one of the people that he could always convince me to do something because, of course, he was my younger brother, So you got any questions about Jonathan? But if anybody knew him, I knew him. And then the conversations we were having about civil rights we talked about. But here's the thing. I'm going to share this with you. Our last conversation, because me and my brother would talk every day. We basically would have different political views, but about 4 years ago is when we basically said, look, people start passing on. We said, look, man, we're not going to waste no time arguing what we agree on. And what we agree on is civil rights, not civil, but civil rights, talking about the economic part of empowerment and working on that and things of that nature. So shoot away. I mean, anything you want to ask me?
Yeah, we actually got a caller, so one of the callers must have a question. Hello, caller.
Yeah. I'm going to miss him, man. I'm going to miss him. This is Benny Moon, And Jonathan, man, I swear for God, man. He he talked about something different every Saturday. And it's sad, but hey, give him my flowers, my props, and everything. Man, I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him because I couldn't wait to hear what he had to say every Saturday.
Yes,
yes. And I would call in and voice my opinion, but Jonathan, hey, he was one of a kind. He was a warrior, man. I swear for God. Wow. I'm going to miss that brother.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm going to miss that brother.
Yes. Thank you for your call. We have another caller. Hello, caller.
Okay, good evening. How you all doing?
Hey, Cleveland, what's up?
Okay, look, you all. I'm going to tell you now. I love Jonathan. I'm going to always love Jonathan. And if there's anything that I can do for you all, please let me know. One thing I can say, no matter what I spoke or talked about, Jonathan was always in my favor and understood exactly what I was saying. I love that, brother. So will you all please just let me know what I can do for you all?
Yes.
That's the best I can say.
Yeah.
Well, what I'll do is this young man that I'm just meeting and a pleasure to meet him. I'm going to give him my number.
Okay.
And and I'll be reaching back on him and holding on to him. Jonathan, when you guys talk about his shows, he would call me before and sometime and after, and I asked him how the show go and what he was going to be talking about. He would be so excited. He took a lot of time preparing and doing research for his show. Hours.
I got that from him.
What I want to do is bring you all some money. I want to give out some money to you all. Not no flowers, but money.
Okay.
Give
it to the young man.
I talk to you every day, so I will next time I talk. Like I said, I talk to you every day. Just about we'll definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
exactly.
He said he's gonna give me his number. I'm gonna give it to you.
Exactly.
Next time I talk to you.
So I can put the money in his hand.
All right.
Because I love Jonathan as a brother, man. That's all I can say.
Well, you know what? I look forward to meeting some of the people that he really affected and going to definitely make myself available, because it was one of the things that Jonathan always said. I did a movie premiere years ago back here, and someone was trying to shake my hand, and I didn't see him, and Jonathan, he grabbed me, hey, man, don't pass the people up. And so we're people, and Jonathan was one of the people that's always down to earth, not and making sure that you speak to everybody. And so I feel the love and the support that I've been getting, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So definitely want to meet you.
What I love,
yes.
I love about the young man, when people said, no, I was wrong, I love Jonathan. Jonathan said, no, Clee, he was right. I love that man forever. So please, give the number to the young man, and I'm asking the young man, please let me know so I can get you all some money.
I definitely make that happen, Cleveland. Thank you for calling. Thank you for being a loyal listener and caller, and I've heard you with Jonathan, and you used to call in with me and him on the air and supporting my show as well.
Oh yeah. Now look, I'm gonna let you all go, but just don't forget me.
I'm not.
Okay.
Nice meeting you, my brother.
Okay, nice meeting you all. Bye.
Yeah, one of the most loyal listeners, callers here we have at WLTH, Mr. Cleveland. But I'm glad you actually brought up, you said that he prepared for his shows, spent hours, and I do too, because for him, when I started doing the show on Mondays, Issues and Answers Monday with Jonathan in 2016, I had never been on the radio before ever in my life. I thought people just showed up to the radio station. That's why I thought people just showed up and talked. No, I'd get an email from him every week before the show, and it would have detailed over the weekend. Like, he'd have videos and articles and stuff for me to read and to look at before the show. And now that is what I do before. I do my research and everything before, because I know now that to be on the radio is a responsibility. To know what you're doing, to know what you're talking about. He taught me so much about production, using music to set atmosphere. And so his preparation had a huge effect on me. We have another caller who want to talk to you. Hello, caller.
Hey, Brother Emmanuel.
Yes, this voice sounds very familiar.
Yeah, this is Quabna.
Oh, Quabna!
Hey, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in years, but how you doing?
I know. I'm okay, bro. Oh, as well as can be be inspector. It's good to hear you too right now.
Well, I tell you what, Quabna, I have on the dashiki, And so, you know, I would tease Jonathan about his dashikis, and I went and got one. And the thing about it is I said, well, he's smiling because I have on one, and I'm wearing this in honor of him, and will, you know, continue to wear it on occasion. So so I haven't seen you in years, and but it's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you soon, man. Sorry under these circumstances, but we know what it is.
I wanted to ask you before, but I don't know how much time you have. I know you have your own thing going on Fridays, but how did you meet Jonathan? I always wanted to ask you that. How did you meet Jonathan?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if it was with Lasana, or if it was at one of Miss Figure's African Liberation Day or Juneteenth programs, or if it was with Brother Bentley, or if it was protesting. I know one time one of the grocery stores, one of those convenience stores, pulled a gun on Jonathan. And I was talking to Brother Banks earlier, Robert Banks, and I reminded him of that. And we said, yeah, that's what happened. And we had a big protest down there.
Real quick, Quabena, get Banks' number to me. I hadn't heard that in a while, and I thought about Robert Banks. And here's the thing about it. I'm going to go a little bit back on him since you brought up Robert Banks, Ron Muhammad, Burley Suggs, all of those guys. We were over there, and I remember Jonathan and Robert Banks, them, and protesting and doing a whole lot of protesting. But to go into where he got the protesting from, we were over at Riley School in Gary, Indiana, and my sister Pearl had a teacher to say African American children are dumb and too dumb to learn. Came home, told my mom. She organized a protest and shut down, went to jail and shut down the whole school. So when you see, you know, when you grow up in that type of environment, Jonathan had that mentality because we just strong-willed people that, and you know, I've talked to Jonathan about that sometime. He was like, well, why don't more people stand up? If you do your research on the last name Boose, we never were enslaved people. And so I was telling him, he said, well, don't say. I said, that's what it was that we weren't never enslaved. And so at a young age, he seen my mom doing that. Then going to Gary Roosevelt, we watched Eyes on the Prize every year. And then going back to the research on that show, I heard the one that he did. Let me tell you how much research he put in that one about Martin Luther King. Do you know Jonathan called me up and said, I'm doing something on MLK, and everybody knows that I'm real close to Martin Luther King's family. He actually talked to people that knew Martin Luther King before he did that show. Wow. So it's nothing. It was like, it was nothing of, and he would call me up, and he, you know, my middle name is Alfred. He would say, hey, Ray, can you call so-and-so? And I would call him, and the King family's been calling me just like, man. And here's the message that they gave to me when I first found out that Jonathan had passed. So I get the call that he had passed on to be with the Lord. And we had so much stuff planned that we was working on behind the scene. They said, Emmanuel, you have to heal on your feet. It's not time to fall apart. So we have to, y'all soldiers out there that's fighting against injustice, you have to heal on your feet. And so we have to move forward and doing the things that Jonathan stood for and keep on doing what he was doing.
Well, I just wanted to say really quick, because you brought up Lasana Jaspora, somebody again. You know, all you guys were friends of my mother. When I was in school, y'all were out doing in the fields doing this stuff. One thing that I think it's important for people to remember that Jonathan really was about was holding people accountable. When Lasana Jaspora's son was murdered by the Jackson, Mississippi police. Okay.
Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. Oh, right, Jackson, Tennessee police. I'm sorry. Him and Jonathan was right there with him. He went down there with him. You know, he wasn't messing around when it came to that stuff. And even to this last police killing that we had in Chicago, Jonathan was right there on top of it. So, I mean, he was not somebody who messed around when it came with his people. And again, holding the people in power accountable, even if they the police. But go ahead with what you were about to say.
I got a question for his brother.
Yes.
The last time I talked to Jonathan, well, I talked to him early Sunday night. We had a conversation. We talked about wrestling, because we always talk about wrestling. And so professional wrestling.
Your phone is breaking up. Your phone is breaking up.
How about now? Better now?
Yeah, you're right. You're good right now.
Okay, he would talk about wrestling, but he would even bring wrestling matches to our Juneteenth programs.
Yes.
And that was so unique, and it was so much fun. It was just, so your brother was unique. But my question to you was also about the music, because even like preparing for his shows, and I was with him, he was talking about this show he was going to do on Money, And I said, well, listen to this. I let him listen to Fatback's Money, and he liked the song. He said, not appropriate for this one. He going to do the OJs. I was like, what? You know the OJs? Because he usually likes a different type of music. Where did that come from in his style and what he dug on this music?
Well, I tell you where it comes from. And here's what you guys got to know about the genre of music that Jonathan listened to and that we listen to. Jonathan is from, the way you can understand Jonathan is, he's from, and most guys listening will get this, he's from that era, man, of that Jonathan he liked it rock music, he liked it classical, he liked it all. We would listen to all of it, and then him being an athlete and a warrior, and I'm going to tell you something else that he didn't mention that I'm going to tell you that he liked it. He really liked bagpipes. And I'm going to show you why he liked bagpipe, because our great-grandfather came from Ireland. And so I would tell so listen to this. Check this out. I told my brother, I said, that's where you probably get all that fighting from, because he was a fan of the IRA. So it's one of those things is, so when you look at the sum total of his music is that a lot of the music came from that era of professional wrestling, that we grew up watching professional wrestling. Let me tell you something else about him. He, when you talk about him fighting, we were at Gary Roosevelt, and he got into it with this gang. I think it was a gang that was there. I'm not going to mention the name. And it was going to be a fight. So one of the gang leaders came to me, and he said, look, me and you cool, but your brother, he beat up my nephew. So I said, so what you going to do? So let me tell you what happened. He said, well, and, you know, me being a wrestler on the football team, I said, well, that's my brother. You're going to have a problem. He said, well, let's watch them fight and don't let nobody jump in. Jonathan beat that guy so bad that the other guy jumped in. And he said, no, he whooped two guys at one time, and I watched him do it. So it's just one of those things that he liked all genre of music, and I think that mixture of music came from professional wrestling.
Yes,
okay,
but a lot of the music that we use for our show was bumpers. The bumpers I still have here on the WLTH computers were from professional wrestling, and that's something that me and him shared as well, was our love of professional wrestling. But Kwabena, could you stay on the phone, please? I mean, you got to go, or can you stay on the phone?
I can stay on for a little bit, yes.
Okay.
For my brother,
sure. You know, this, like I said, this whole hour we're gonna try to devote this to Brother Boose. We got to go to a break just for a minute. When we come back, we will honor Brother Boose some more. So please stay with us here, straight out of the cannon, WLTH Issues and Answers Friday. We'll be right back after these. All right, folks, we are back here, straight out of the cannon, Issues and Answers Friday, honoring the man, the myth, the legend, Jonathan Boose, my mentor who brought me here. We got his brother Emmanuel here, and on the phone, Kwabena, him and Jonathan were like the best tag team here in Gary. You know, you guys accomplished a hell of a lot together. I remember when you guys were fighting for Malcolm X Boulevard here in the city, and so many of the things, Kwanzaa, and Juneteenth, and all these different things. Tell me about Jonathan, the activist, Kwa. And what working with him was like specifically on all these different projects y'all did.
Well, we were in the midst of the Malcolm X Drive piece, and Jonathan, he went, I guess he was we were in Glen Park, and so we decided we were going to go on every house on the street. So I think he started like Ridge Road, and I started at 53rd, and we just met in the middle, you know, took all those signatures and put them in with the signatures we had. When it came to when we were getting close, in 2020 or 21, it was me, Jonathan, Adiami, Todd McCain, Mr. Campbell, Emmett, and Sister Ludine, and we were the ones there struggling with them to make sure it happened. And so he was with us pretty much from the beginning to the end. You know, Jonathan, as you know, you talked about his history and his political upbringing, and he would tell that story about your mother and that struggle with the knucklehead teacher. He definitely would tell us that story. But so, like you said, it was built in him. It was built in him to resist. But even though he was tight with, Jonathan said, come go with me one day. I want you to take a ride with me. So I rode with him, and he took me to Rudy Clay's house. So Dick Gregory was visiting. And Rudy said, had a chair, and he sat Jonathan down in that chair. I'll never forget, because me and Felipe Tolliver was there, and we were talking, messing with Jonathan about it. Because Rudy sat Jonathan right down in that chair and told Dick Gregory, this is the future of Gary, politics, this young man like this. And the same thing happened with Mayor Hatcher. There was a meeting at the Genesis Center, I think, that they had in one of the rooms up there. And he kind of like anointed Jonathan as that young political, I think he was the leader of the Young Democrats at that time also. So he was tight with a lot of these political leaders. And I'll never forget, we were struggling against this garbage privatization. But Jonathan was working with Rudy Clay's administration. And so they had these buttons. I don't know if it was the button for the company that took over the garbage, privatized it or not. But Jonathan, he did not wear the button. And I was like, well, you ain't got the button on. He said, no, I said, I don't agree with that. I said, right on. I said, right on.
We got another caller. Let me, let's see who it is. Hello, caller.
Yeah, I had to call back. Man, I'm so happy, so pleased that y'all talking about him today, man. Man, I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. I met him 7 years ago. And, man, I am so pleased that y'all.
Sir, what is your name? What is his name?
Oh, what is your name, sir?
What's your name,
Benny
sir?
Moon. They call me Benny Moon.
Okay, nice to meet you, Benny.
Right on.
Man, I'm so glad y'all talking about him. I'm glad I turned on. And I would call every Saturday, and I'm going to miss him, man. I'm going to miss him. I feel so...
Stay strong, brother. Stay strong. Nothing wrong with crying. Jesus, bro.
Absolutely. Jesus did.
I'm going to miss him. Joseph, I love you, man. Love you.
Yeah. We
Right,
We cherish you. I'm going to miss him.
Yeah.
Man, right on.
I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you for your call, brother.
You know what, Jonathan I'll be remiss to not mention reparations in honor of Jonathan.
Yes.
So let's talk about what he was doing behind the scenes. As Quambetta said, Jonathan had the ability to, which is rare. You have some people that could be out on the grassroots, but then he was able to talk to high-ups as well. So he was able to do that, and to be a great leader and to get things done, you have to have a connection. So when it comes to reparations, and me and Jonathan agreed on this, is no matter what your political affiliation is, if you're African American, you should be standing for reparations.
Yes.
So we started having conversations with everyone in every party, and getting together and talking about what reparation would entail, and started putting those things together. And I mean, we were, without name dropping, we were doing Zoom calls with presidential and former elected presidents, and Jonathan was right in that room, felt comfortable in just being in that room, articulating why we needed to get reparations. But here's the thing I'm going to tell you, too. I tried my best to get Jonathan to move to Atlanta, but he loved Gary. I'm in Atlanta, and so I remember Jonathan, I was like, hey, man, come here. So I remember he came up and visited. He really enjoyed himself, man. I cooked for him and all that type of stuff. Jonathan always loved my cooking. Even when we was growing up, he was like, cook me something, Ray. And so, and his thing is that, he loved Gary, Indiana. He just did. And so he had the opportunity for a political position in the Atlanta area that he could have won. I mean, he had everything that he did, but Jonathan loved Gary. And here's the thing about it is, and I'm not going to get too much into his death, but because I don't want to go to, because it's going to turn it real sad. But Jonathan was a man's man. He died on his way to work. Come on, now think about that. And some guys healthy won't go to work. I'm just keeping it real, but that was one of those things is that being that man's man and having a heart and a champion for Gary, and he was about protecting Gary resources.
Yep. He was the reason. He's the reason I started to prioritize reparations as an issue. Before Jonathan, I was just sort of ambivalent about reparations, about whether they'd happen or not. Like, I'm thinking about universal health care. I'm thinking about, the prison industrial complex and mass incarceration. It was really, he actually is the person who got me on the air with Cam Howard from In Cobra. One of the early shows me and him did was with Cam Howard from In Cobra, and it completely changed my political focus in a lot of ways, because I started to realize just how much black people had neglected to fight for our own political well-being while we're out here fighting for everybody else's. And so that's sort of a really important effect that he had on me. But I agree. Did y'all work together on any reparation stuff?
Yes, indeed. With Cam Howard, like you said, and Cam sends his best. I did let Cam know about his transition. And Cam, you know, he has this Earn the Black Vote Right Now campaign that people can check out. The president can sign a executive order for a reparations commission. He can sign that today, and that, and so me and Jeeba really would talk about that. Matter of fact, we had a conversation with Cam about that. We saw him. We saw Cam at the Malcolm X program that Baba Salim had over in Chicago in February, and we had a good conversation about that. Earn the Black Vote by signing this reparations commission. So, no, Jonathan would constantly talk about it. You know, if these politicians ain't saying nothing about reparations, he would say, whether it be Mervan or any black politician, you got to have something about reparations, that our reparations are due. And he was adamant about that, as you all are saying.
Well, what I wanted to do is, before I got a message, I want to give you guys a phone number where you can reach the family, and I'm going to give that number, 812-551-8204, 812-551-8204. And I'm going to give
one more time.
812-551-8204. So anything directed, if, you know, condolences or whatever, or what they want to send something, they can direct it there for him. And here's the thing about it is, I see it here, and that his work will continue on as far as fighting for injustice. Did you guys know that he was a talented artist? Did you guys know that?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
know
so
that.
let me. So I'm gonna tell you some things that you guys don't know. You guys know John is a political activist, and I'm gonna tell you about the things y'all didn't know about him. Jonathan, when we were growing up, he started school at 4 years old.
Wow.
And they wanted to promote him 2 grades ahead of that, and my mom said no, she didn't want him messed up socially. Jonathan won every spelling bee there was. Okay, so he was one of those, and I would always tell Jonathan, I was like, hey, man, he really loved the politics. I was like, man, you know, he won the science fair in the 1st grade, making chlorine. And I said, Jonathan, I said, hey, man, you probably, if you was a doctor, I teased him, you probably would have had the cure for cancer or something. And so he was really talented, and I have some of his artwork at home, that he was really talented in drawing. And I think that, I'm going to tell you something, and putting comic books together. And putting description things together. And I think that runs, I'm going to be honest with you, that was DNA, because I have a sister that writes the same thing, has that ability. But that was some of the things that he did that he was really passionate about, was his art. And I was talking to him about writing more children books and things. And then he really had a passion for abused children. And I remember how when he was working with abused children for DCFS, and Jonathan took those young men and treated those abused children and fought for them like they was his own children. That's the type of man he was. And so a lot of people don't know about that, him calling me, and he said, hey, man, you got all type of connection. Can you say this, that, and other? And then how he would go to court for him and all of that stuff. And here's the thing about it is Jonathan had no care for money. He did stuff because of the goodness of his heart. And so those are the things that he liked it to do. And here's the thing about it is he loved working out. Man, he loved working out. I think that one of the best workout partners was Jonathan. Jonathan was a strong dude. My Aunt Cassie was moving years ago, and we were teenagers. And you guys remember those big refrigerators with the handles on that was real big? Yeah. And so they was like, go get a dolly. Jonathan took that to straps and put it on his back and walked down 2 flights of steps. Good. Refrigerator. So he was just like one of those strong guys. And another thing was he was just, well, you're talking about somebody fearless. You know what I'm saying? Jonathan was just fearless. And you know, I remember, I'll never forget, when it was time to fight, Jonathan was like, it ain't nothing but something to do. You ready, Ray? I was like, hey, man, I'm ready. And so... And the funny part about it is that he didn't mind if somebody wanted to mix it up, he didn't do it. And I told Jonathan, I remember having this conversation with him. I was like, man, you just like fighting. He started laughing, you know. So it was one of those things. And so I'm gonna miss him, but I know I'm gonna see him again. So you know, that's my consolation. And you know, just had to.
Brother Emmanuel.
Yes.
Brother Emmanuel, I wanted, if I could share something about Jonathan. Lasana would talk about Jonathan's driving. And I just played it off. And then we had a Kwanzaa we were getting ready to, and Sister Saluki, Mama Saluki, was going to prepare the food, and Jonathan was going to take her to the store. And when he got back, she told me off so bad. I was like, what are you talking about? And so with Jonathan, you know, he had to struggle sometimes driving. But we had an African fest over in Chicago, and I was vending or doing something there already. And he called and said he was coming. I said, how you going to get here? Next thing you know, I'm at the African Fest walking around, and here comes Jonathan. I said, how you got here? He said, I drove. You mean you drove all the way from? Yeah. He would get where he had to go.
Well,
he would do what he had to do.
Well,
but he was yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Jonathan wore glasses, and you guys don't know that, right?
No.
So let me tell you this. This is something. Shout out to Andre Smith, who I call Dr. Dre. So Jonathan was on the sheriff department for a little bit. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. But back when I was on the sheriff department, we were working at the work release together. So Jonathan wanted to get a job at the work release, get on the sheriff department. And I was like, Jonathan, you with a badge? I don't think so. And he's like, all right, Ray, let me come in there. Anyway, he gets a job on the sheriff department. And I'm worried. I'm like, okay, he in there. And they had to transport prisoners. So I'm at home, and I called to see how my brother was doing. And they told me that, Jonathan transparent prisoners. I got off the phone and got on my knees and said, Lord Jesus. And so Dr. Drake teased me about that sometime I said, I got to go. They got Jonathan driving prisoners around, but the thing was that Jonathan wears glasses, and he get in that car and drive, and so yeah.
Man, look, you guys were talking about his passion, and I know we all share this for being on the air. Like I said, I've been doing my show 25 years, but he loved being at that radio station. Mm-hmm. He said it was,
yes,
and that's why I was egging him on, bro. You got to get back on. We need to hear your voice, your analysis, your Pan-Africanist, your international, national, local analysis of things, different views. Scott, I know you share some of the same things, but we had to hear it. And just recently, I had a program to do at IUN, and I was trying to get him here, but I was like, bro, here, I gave him the keys. I'll let him drive. I was like, I'll let Jonathan drive my car that night. And he did. He made it on back. But
wow.
Yeah, he made it on back.
Faith.
But that's cool.
That's a faith.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we got to go to another break. But before we do, I want to say, give a shout out to Charletta and Brittany for these pics, these beautiful pics that I found on Facebook of Jonathan.
A shout out to Pretty Britty. That's my niece that we affectionately call her Pretty Britty. So shout out to Pretty Britty and Charletta. Charletta is our cousin, but really our sister. So Charletta would make all the Jonathans cut his hair and make his garb and all that type of stuff. And during this time, Charletta's been a big help, her and the mom and all of them. And so shout out to Charletta.
Yes.
Jonathan's little sister, Charletta. So shout out.
Yes. We got another 15 here on for this hour. For all my Twitter peeps, we will get back to the sort of normal stuff on the next hour, but we had to do this hour. I told Natalie I got to at least do an hour for Boose. So the next hour, that we'll talk about the FISA stuff, about the government spying on us. Again, that's exactly the type of story that me and Jonathan
mentored this guy.
we would have definitely done that story together, especially when we were on the air together. So please stay with us. We got to go to a short break. We'll be back with the rest of the hour with Emmanuel and Kwabena. We'll be right back after these. All right, folks, we're back here at Issues and Answers Friday, straight out of the cannon with me, Scott Cannon. We got Jonathan Booth's brother, Emmanuel, and on the phone, Kwabena, for these last few minutes before we got to go back to normal programming. But, man, you going to play the horn? You going to blow the horn for us, huh?
Jonathan always would ask me to blow the horn for him. And Jonathan, before I blow this, Jonathan, his middle name is Joel.
Yes.
And Jonathan was truly a prophet. And a lot of people didn't know that prophets are those that speak up against injustice and hold those in authority. But Jonathan was 4 years old, and he had a prophetic gifting of seeing things before it happened. He was 4. He told me that I was gonna be a preacher one day, and I didn't believe him. But Jonathan was very prophetic, and so the scripture said when you blow the sound of shofar, you will be remembered before the Lord and delivered from all their enemies. And Jonathan would always say, blow the shofar. So I'm just gonna blow this, and it's a form of spiritual warfare. And I'm going to blow this in memory of Jonathan Joel Boose.
Yes. Yes. That is powerful right there.
And I'm going to say a prayer.
Yes,
Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for the precious life of Jonathan, and thank you for giving me such a precious brother to grow up. You said in your word that brothers are born for a day of adversity, and we thank you for his life, his sacrifice, his legacy, and his heart, that precious soul, and all that he did, and the people that he blessed. And Father, I ask you to help those that are in pain right now, Father, in the name of Jesus. Give them the strength, Father, and help us to heal on our feet. And Jonathan used to call me up a lot of times and he would say, hey Ray, make me laugh. And he would I would call and I would say stuff and he would just laugh a whole lot. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So Jonathan, when we were little, because he would want y'all to laugh. This has actually happened. So when we were little, I walked in the bathroom and Jonathan was just brushing his teeth and it was my toothbrush. And I was like, hey man, you know that's my toothbrush. And he laughed and it was like, oh, I wouldn't have did it if you stayed and kept brushing it. I hit him so hard, knocked him in the toilet, and the drapes wrapped around him. You know what I'm saying? And so, and it was one of those things is that he was my brother. He get up, and then we go to school, but you better not mess with him. I can hit him, but don't you hit him. It was one of those things and it was just a comical time growing up with my brother and my sister. You know, Jonathan, he would. I remember. My sister used to sneak my grandfather's car, right? So we young, Jonathan knew not to do it. And Jonathan was like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to make it clear now. Jonathan wasn't no snitch because he didn't believe in it because he was getting a whole lot of trouble. So Jonathan, we were in school, and we was in an all predominantly white school, right? And this white guy walks up to him and says, thank you, you a free N-word. And Jonathan, he said that to Jonathan. No, so guess what Jonathan did? So Jonathan jumps on the back of him and start choking him out. And the way Jonathan choked him, he started walking up the wall, and the guy's face started turning purple. So in that school, the mother was a teacher. So she comes in and she stands up and she said, "Come here, Boose." Well, you know, we say Boose, so I get up. And she paddles me thinking that I'm Jonathan. Jonathan's sitting there, and she said, you didn't say nothing. But so that's the type of thing, the type of camaraderie that we had as brothers is that he wasn't a rat.
Right. Kwabena.
Yes.
Yes, my mother loved to always talk about the passionate disagreements that you and Jonathan would have about stuff in the movement. She would say that she always tell the story about you guys argued at IUN and all those other places. What was that like?
It was still sharpening steel. It was just Jonathan was very strong in his beliefs, and so am I. Me and Jonathan, you know, we do the Kwanzaa and Juneteenth every year, again, following Miss Figures, that legacy. And so we sometimes we wouldn't even be speaking to each other. But we do the Juneteenth or the Kwanzaa, and after the program, we'd be cool again. And I remember even Brother Jacel was just trying to get me to, and even Cassius, they were like, man, y'all got to get together. And so, yeah, we get together, and we were cool. I mean, that's happened. That's part of life, man. You ain't got to always agree or disagree. We have these battles and struggles. But I will say, you know, for the last, as long as I can remember, we've been very cool. We've been tight. We still have some disagreements, but we work them out. We talk about them. And I like my brother said, man, that's my brother. Love him. Been around him for so long. You know, just almost talking to him almost every day. Definitely gonna miss him. I've been thinking about him a lot, and you know, I'm just glad I was able to be with him. You know, just recently, and I'm so glad he was able to get back on WLTH. He was so happy to be back on the air, sharing that. And Emmanuel, man, thanks for all the pictures that we've been seeing. You've been loving them. I've got quite a few too. I'm gonna try to continue to share. But you know, he always loved Tony Walker, and I would struggle with him in his conversations with Cozy. We would get into it about that, but him and Cozy were real tight. And I know his brother Darren, just so many other people, man, who work with him, the Bullock brothers, Matlock, who work with us.
Shout out to Bullock.
My brother Ifa Muiwa, Bentley Ellis, you know, we all worked together. Me, him, and Eddie Tarver went over to Juneteenth, and over to Chicago. Ron Muhammad, you know, just so many of his people that he loved and cared about, man. And so, yeah, he's a good brother, man.
Yeah, you know what you said that is that, you know, I moved down to Atlanta in 2016, you know what I'm saying? And, hadn't seen shout out to Bullock and all of those guys, and you know, my brother fought a lot of political wars, you know what I'm saying? So he's resting from his labor, you know what I'm saying? And just shout out and just the love and support that really been pouring out for Jonathan. And his favorite color was red.
I gotta mention Lori Peterson too.
Oh yes. And Lori Peterson. So you know his favorite color was red. His favorite superhero. Do y'all know who they is? I'm gonna quiz you. Anybody know who his favorite superhero was?
No, let us know.
It was Spider-Man.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, so his favorite it was Spider-Man, and a lot of his style. Let's talk about his wrestling a little bit. Jonathan started out in Windy City Wrestling, right?
Right.
And who trained him was Sam DeCero. And I was talking to Jonathan, and his favorite movie was The Claw with the Von Erich brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great
So
movie.
I called him up, and I remember it coming out because we used to sit up and watch wrestling as a kid, right? And so we used to go to this Fagan. Any of y'all familiar with Fagan Miller would be in the Village Shopping Center.
Right.
So they didn't want you to read those wrestling magazines in there. Jonathan, just 5 years old, going in there, and the security said, "Don't read the magazine." Jonathan, he's still in there reading them, and then he'll run us off. So I remember when Jonathan first started wrestling and won one of his titles, the security guard was there. I said, "You remember Jonathan?" He said, "Yeah, what he doing?" I said, "Wrestling." And he had a big smile on his face when he found out that Jonathan wrestled. Jonathan was really into action figures. And here's the thing about it is that wrestling, that was him. I tried it, and let me tell you something. This is so funny. Jonathan was real good in martial arts. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
No.
I remember him first getting in class, and he beat a brown belt half to death. And so it was like one of those things of that he liked mixing it up and pumping iron. And here's the thing about it is he didn't think he would get big enough. I did. I said, "Hey man, we getting older. We need to start cutting up." No, I got to have my guns and big arms and shoulders. So he really liked that. So.
Well, we got one more
Yeah,
caller.
look, we went.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, we went to, as you get them on it, we went to, we saw that Van Eric movie together. Recently.
Watched it twice.
Yeah.
He said he watched it twice.
Great movie.
Yeah.
I can see why he loved the Von Erichs. One more caller. Hello, caller.
How you doing?
Yay, what's up, brother?
Yes, I want to give my condolences. I want to get why Quapena was there. You and Quapena is two of his loyal soldiers, and while his brother is there. This is Hershey. Listen, Ben, your brother and I, we would mix it up. Your brother was a very intelligent young man.
Yes.
I like wrestling. I like the 2x4. Scott always used that in his presentation. And Dr. Williams was going to chase him out of there with that 2x4. But listen here. This is what I want to say. Ben, your brother shared this, man. I was on that reparation tip.
Okay.
That's my thing right there. Reparation. I believe in the boycotting and everybody power. It could be in the voting, but your power is in how you handle your money. See, money is very important.
Right.
Money is like a tanner leaves to the mummy. The mummy couldn't live without the tanner leaves. It was 7 tanner leaves that would bring him back. And what keeps this man paying attention to you, you hold your money. Now, money was so effective back in the day because people didn't run to McDonald's. They went home when your mama would make you that hamburger. It looked like a meatball, but you loved it. She put them grilled onions on there, just like White Castle, tastes just as good. You eat a skillet of corn, she would fry that hot water cornbread, black-eyed peas.
All right, I'm going to be over your house to eat after this, brother, because you over here got me hungry, man. I'm going to be over there to eat in a minute, man. Hey, I got one of them appetites like Jonathan. I'm going to come over there to eat.
Yeah, I've always talked to your brother about that. You have to hold your money. See, your money is what makes you powerful.
Civil rights, economic empowerment. I agree.
Yes, sir. And then we would mix it up about music. Now you seem like you're a young man of the world, and we would kind of get into it when we would talk about Megan Thee Stallion. Well, he had a problem with that.
I do too.
But wait a minute now. Me myself, I'm a man. I had many a stallion, but that didn't mean that they were
I'm gonna turn Jonathan on you. A stallion is an uncastrated horse.
Yeah,
So a stallion is an uncastrated horse. So to do that, it ain't even. But we're gonna end on a positive note. But I'm with Jonathan on that. We ain't gonna do that. We're gonna stay positive. And Operation Ceasefire until we get them in the ground. This is what I want. Is we gonna ceasefire till once we get them in the ground, then we can all start shooting missiles again. But Operation Ceasefire, a peace till he get in. So we ain't gonna argue tonight. We're gonna talk about what we all agree upon because life's too short.
I want to dedicate this to him. But when I said stallion, it only meant when in my generation that just meant a fine woman. But I want to lead in with this because I love bagpipes too, and I have that same heritage blood in me. Listen to this just for a minute.
You know what? When I leave, when we close out, can you play Amazing Grace bagpipes?
Oh yeah, sure.
Play that for Jonathan because me and him used to sit and listen to that together.
Hey, you know, we had a brother.
Jonathan. I love Jonathan, and I'm sorry for your loss, sir. And
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We had brother Valroy came to our Juneteenth last year, Kwanzaa, and he played one of the horns like that before he started drumming. And Jonathan, I was wondering why he was so enthused by that because he really loved that. So
yeah, I introduced it to him, and he would have me blow it all the time. But play that Amazing Grace bagpipes in honor of Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get out of here, but I will be back. I'm gonna give this brother my number and stuff, and I'm gonna give you that number to reach out to the family one more time.
Yeah. All right, thank you for your call, sir. We gotta go.
I'm gonna give you the number one more time.
Right.
812-551-8204. 812-551-8204. You can reach out to us and whatever you and Jonathan's a people person, so you know everybody had access to him and everybody had his number, so the access remains with the Booses.
Yes.
Access remains, and special shout out to Pearl, our sister, and so one last story about that. I can't go. So my sister, we was in the growing up when there was a problem. We would train each other to fight. So we would go down there, heavy bag, and Jonathan put on the Rocky music, and we would just, okay, so we going to get so-and-so, but we going to watch. So my sister, we training her. My sister's real pretty, so she got her, and I'm like, she braiding her hair back and all that, and I'm thinking like, that girl too ugly for you to fight. She ain't got nothing to lose. And so she training, so Dula, I mean, my sister Pearl was whooping the girl, so the girl rolled on the top, jumped and kicked the girl over, and she started wailing on him. So I'm gonna miss those good times, and me and Jonathan sitting up telling those stories. And I guess I'm gonna walk out on bagpipes because Jonathan had me play it all the time. Good hearing you, Quad Bill, and I ain't seen you in years. And make sure that me and you connect, man, before I get back to Atlanta. And I'm quite sure you guys are. Looking forward to the funeral. I'm trying to make sure that all the relatives get in from around the country, and I'll be giving that to LTH soon.
Okay.
Okay, right on.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. We're about to have our Amazing Grace bagpipes for our friend and brother and comrade. Thanks for calling in, Kwabena.